21 billion that KRA was supposed to get out of the minimum tax that was introduced in the Income Tax Act. They gotta hold back. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. And this morning, we got for you the details. Let's go back to 2020 and see exactly how our tax performed, because it's from there that KRA thought that the magic bullet to increasing their revenue could be through the minimum tax. Now, look at where we are in terms of domestic VAT and domestic excise and oil taxes. But even withholding tax and even payee that was at a 2% performance, then you will see exactly what the effects of the coronavirus pandemic were, because then we're talking about the period under review from 2019 to 2020. Some of them, yes, improved, like the capital gain tax, which was one of those bigger headlines in 2021, that even under the coronavirus pandemic, there's some quarters of the tax bracket that is part of the major revenue composition of KRA that was really performing it, especially the capital gains tax and the rental income tax, which also shot up during that period. But the others, all the way from corporation tax all the way to oil taxes, they dropped. Now KRA, through the Income Tax Act, would see a minimum tax at a rate of 1% of the gross turnover from January 2021. Now, as of yesterday, and I'm going to name this so that we know exactly who was suing KRA, under that, KRA was supposed to realize 21 billion shillings, which was going to be a big boost for them, because loss-making corporations or businesses within the economy were going to actually pay a 1% tax on their losses, which, according to KRA, was better in the sense that, well, you're only going to pay according to your losses. Now, this is exactly what transpired yesterday. Now, Kitengela Bar Owners Association, Stanley Waweru, Samuel Gitonga, and Bernard Oranga sued KRA on the following terms. Number one, they're saying that the bill did not get to the Senate for debate and approval. Number two, they're saying that charging minimum tax on gross turnover, they're saying that this is going to affect county finances, which had already set their specific levies on this particular businesses. Now, High Court Judge George Odunga said that these three entities that sued KRA, quote unquote, raised weighty matters, and therefore asked KRA to hold their horses, as quote unquote, as this matter goes back to consideration. Now remember that some of the businesses were supposed to actually start filing their returns as of June and even as of January 2021. So this is still on hold. A big blow to KRA, who were looking at that minimum 21 billion shillings to be raised out of this minimum tax. This week, we table that conversation with the tax experts across the economy. We're going to tell us whether it's indeed true that minimum tax was a better option for KRA within the economy. Also get your views in 20146 at Metropol TVKE across all your social media platforms. I am at Kia Gesimba. Yes, it was trending yesterday, so it's really for us to table that conversation this week. Now, let's look at what has been cash that has been underflow in the economy, and we have that trend this morning. Good, that's where we are. And I wanted you to look at all the way from April, and we're going all the way to December 2020. 2020. I want you to look at that depressed level of cash within the economy, and I want you to pay attention to where we are as from January, March, April, and I want you to look at May, June as well. That was the lowest we've been, because that's when we were sort of trying to get into grips with the effects of the coronavirus pandemic within the economy. Now, if you look at where we are now, and that is as of Feb 2021, and that period, you can actually see how the trend started rising up all the way from September towards December 2020. Now, if you look at where we are right now, then you see that value has shot to around 261 trillion cash. That is that's especially outside the banks, meaning that it's within the economy and it's getting exchanged within the economy. So you would expect, therefore, that this money could translate directly to improved livelihoods within the economy. Turns out that it has not really had a bigger impact on the economy. We're going to talk about exactly how you and I are not feeling that cash flow within the economy, and whether you're part and parcel of that cash that is outside the banks, because that means that then you have that cash in your pocket. We're also going to talk about whether we expect this trend to continue this year, and also put into perspective what the second containment measures, that's the COVID-19 containment measures, are going to have on that cash flow, and if indeed you and I don't have that cash in the pocket, and what it really means to our livelihoods. So stick around for that conversation this morning. Now, if you look at where we were in terms of how the state is really looking for revenue, then you will see that the debt conversations, the debt crisis, the budget deficits have been something that we have been talking here on a Business AM and Metropol television as well at large, and asking questions about whether indeed Kenya is in a debt crisis. Now, NSA came the other day and gave a suggestion to the government on how they can actually reduce the budget deficits, and told them if you sell part of the stakes that you have in the profitable entities, that's the government entities within the economy, then they were going to make some money for them. Case in point, they were supposed to raise around 900, let me just go back on that so we get that exact figure. They were supposed to raise about 792.6 billion if they could sell that stake, which means that they could have actually cut their budget deficit. But the government has come and said, no, we're not going to sell it. So the stakes that the government has in companies like KPLC, Kengen, Safaricom are going to stay, meaning that they're going to borrow more for their budget deficit. This week, we also talk about that. Thank you very much for joining us for another day of a business here on a Business AM. My name is Simba Elijah Charles. Can I get our 2 hours begin right now?